She was smiling, surrounded by her children, soft music playing, candles glowing on the cake. Everything looked perfect until she leaned in, read the name on top, and didn't recognize it. Her own name. In that moment, something cracked. And if you've ever watched someone you love forget something they never used to, you know the kind of silence that fills a room like that. What if that smile wasn't happiness, but disorientation hiding behind routine? This video isn't just about stories. It's a path. You're going to learn how memory loss really begins, what dementia symptoms look like when no one else is paying attention, and how early signs of Alzheimer's often hide in plain sight. We'll talk about subtle behaviors, risky habits, and how something as simple as baking a cake can reveal cognitive decline. Most importantly, you'll see how to protect those memories before they disappear. Because this isn't just her story. It could be your mother's, your father's, or even your own years from now. But there is still time to notice, to act, and to protect what makes them who they are. And by the end of this video, you won't just understand the signs, you'll feel empowered to do something about them. Stay close. This might be the most important 10 minutes you give to someone you love. The smile that froze in front of the cake. She was smiling. The candles flickered gently, the grandkids clapped, and phones were recording every second. To most people, it looked like just another birthday. But Carlos noticed something different. Her eyes weren't following the music. They were searching for something. Something missing. What looked like joy suddenly became a quiet alarm. And he began to wonder, was this just forgetfulness in the elderly, or something deeper beginning to unfold? The smell of frosting, the warmth of family, the soft glow of the candles, it used to light her up from the inside. But when someone asked her to make a wish, silence answered first. She smiled politely, but her eyes stayed open, confused, as if she was trying to remember why this moment mattered. These are often the early signs of Alzheimer's, hidden in plain sight. What most people call just a moment might actually be the mind sending out a signal. Quietly, desperately. Carlos didn't say anything. You don't ruin a birthday over a gut feeling. But deep inside, he felt something shift. Because when your mother forgets why she's happy, it shakes everything. Was this a one-time thing? Or the start of cognitive decline? The kind that erases names, birthdays, even faces? That frozen smile. It was the first breadcrumb. And what came next would challenge everything he thought he understood about memory and identity. The celebration that no longer made sense. After the candles were blown out, the questions began. Simple ones. How old are you turning today, Mom? Silence. Do you remember who made the cake? She nodded, smiled, trying to please. But it was clear she didn't know. What used to be a celebration now felt like a stage with no script. The family was still clapping, still laughing. But Maria? Maria was slowly detaching, like a balloon slipping from the hand of memory. That cake wasn't just sugar and flour. It held years of tradition, birthdays, grandchildren's laughter. But now it was just sweet. No taste of meaning, no recognition of who baked it. Carlos watched her chew without emotion, and a quiet panic grew inside him. When even the flavor of a memory is gone, brain fog in seniors starts to look less like aging and more like erasure. Something sacred was fading, and no one else saw it happening. He looked around the room: balloons, decorations, people talking over each other. But for her, it was noise without context. She smiled when others did, like someone playing along with rules they no longer understood. It wasn't just memory loss, it was disconnection. The kind that creeps in softly, making moments feel empty, even when surrounded by love. And deep down, Carlos knew. Something in her had already started to forget what the word celebration truly meant. The name written in frosting she couldn't read. There it was, her name, written in soft blue icing, just like every year. But this time she didn't read it. Or maybe she did. And it meant nothing. "Who's this cake for?" she asked, tilting her head with a gentle confusion. Carlos felt his chest tighten. When someone forgets their own name, you realize it's not just memory fading. It's identity unraveling, piece by piece, right in front of the people who love them most. The party continued, the camera flashed, and people kept smiling. But for Carlos, everything went quiet. He kept replaying that question in his head. She forgot her name. She forgot her name. That simple line, written in icing, once represented her. Now it was just decoration. What happens when the thread that ties us to ourselves starts to fray? This wasn't just a sign of aging and memory. It was a quiet grief that no one else noticed. He watched her closely, sitting, smiling, playing the part. But the woman who taught him how to spell that very name didn't recognize it anymore. That's how dementia symptoms often reveal themselves. Not with drama, but with small absences that pile up. And Carlos began to wonder, how many other families are throwing parties, lighting candles, singing songs, while quietly saying goodbye to someone who's still physically there, but already slipping away? The recipe she once knew by heart, and now forgot. The next day, Carlos had an idea. Maybe reconnecting her with something familiar could help. "Let's bake that birthday cake together," he said. The same recipe she'd used for 30 years, passed down like a family treasure. She smiled, eager. But when they opened the cupboard, something was missing. Not the ingredients, but the order. "Do I add the eggs before the sugar?" she asked, eyes scanning the counter like it was a stranger's kitchen. That cake wasn't just dessert. It was tradition. Her hands had once moved through that recipe like a dance. Automatic, confident, warm. But now every step was a question mark. Carlos stood still as she confused baking powder with flour, mixing up spoons and timers. This wasn't about cake. It was about cognitive decline disguised as forgetfulness. When routine tasks become puzzles, that's not just aging. It's the early language of something deeper. He thought about how many times she had made that cake for birthdays, for rainy Sundays, for no reason at all. And now it was gone. Not the recipe, the connection. That invisible thread between habit and identity. When memory loss steals even the simple rituals, what else is it taking along the way? Carlos didn't have the answer. But in that quiet kitchen, he felt something slipping, and knew the next signs might come even faster. The birthday that became a warning. That night, after everyone left, Carlos scrolled through the birthday photos. Smiles everywhere. Decorations bright. But in every shot of his mother, something felt off. Her body was there, yes, but her eyes seemed elsewhere. Not lost, disconnected. As if her soul was attending a different party. And suddenly, he wasn't just looking at a picture. He was looking at a warning. He kept asking himself, was it just a bad day? But deep down, he knew the truth. It wasn't just one moment. It was a pattern he'd missed. The cake. The questions. The forgotten recipe. This wasn't just forgetfulness in the elderly. It was something that had been knocking quietly, waiting to be heard. Dementia symptoms don't always scream. Sometimes they whisper, inside the folds of our routines. That birthday cake had always been a symbol of joy, of roots, of love passed down. But now it marked a shift. It showed him that memory and identity are not separate things, they are the same. And when one fades, the other trembles. He stared at the photo, her frozen smile, the candles melting. And he wondered, will there be another birthday where she remembers why they're celebrating? Picture this, your mother standing in front of the fridge, forgetting why she opened it. The same fridge where she once kept your birthday cake. The sauce for Sunday's lasagna. The little notes reminding her of joy. These aren't just slips. They're whispers of identity fading. And if we keep calling it just age, how many more memories will quietly disappear before someone notices? So tell me, how many of these signs have already shown up in your family? How many moments have passed where someone smiled, but didn't really know why? When forgetfulness in the elderly becomes familiar, we risk normalizing what could be preventable decline. But not you. You've seen behind the curtain now. You know that memory isn't just recall. It's legacy, emotion, connection. It's the sound of a father's laugh, the name of a granddaughter, the story only she remembers. So don't let this video end here. Share it with someone who needs to see it. With a son who's worried. With a daughter who's trying to help from a distance. With the Maria in your life who still has time. And subscribe, not just for content but for clarity, for truth, for the tools to defend what still matters. Because memory isn't a luxury. It's identity. And it's worth everything to protect,